Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience this morning. Governor Bird has advised us that he is on his way, so he will join us shortly. But thank you all for your patience this morning. Welcome to the election seminar, the TIPNG election seminar hosted by Transparency International with support from DFAT. My name is Ariane and I lead the team here at Transparency International PNG. Now, just for participants that are here at the venue, the toilets are on the left as you walk out, far end past the restaurants. If there is an emergency and we need to evacuate, please exit down the stairs and follow the instructions of the fire marshals. I do ask that all phones be put on silent for this opening session. And we do have a few people taking pictures around the room. So if you do not want to be in any of the pictures, please let our camera people know. And of course, there is a live stream on Zoom of the 2 days of this seminar. So just so you are aware, those of you that are in the room today. For participants on Zoom, I also welcome each and every one of you and thank you for making the time to join us virtually for this opening session, and of course your patience as we start behind schedule. If you are posting on about the seminar on social media, our social media handles and our hashtag for this particular event is hashtag TIPNG elections. I'll go through quickly the program for the opening session. We will have a welcome by Richard Kassman, our TIPNG director. We will then go straight into the presentation on TIPNG's election observation findings. The presentation will be followed by an official launch of the report to the Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Simon Sinai, and Chairman of the Special Parliamentary Committee on Elections, Governor Alan Bird. We will then invite the Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Simon Sinai, to respond to the report, followed by a response from Governor Bird in his capacity as Chairman of the Special Parliamentary Committee on Elections. We will then close the morning session and invite the media to join our guest speakers for a closed press conference in another room while we break for morning tea here and aim to start the following session. On behalf of Transparency International PNG, again, I welcome you to the opening session of the election seminar. To our audience that's online, again, thank you for making the time to be present. I want to start by first acknowledging the presence of His Excellency Philip Taula, the New Zealand High Commissioner, of Mr. Simon Sinai, the Electoral Commissioner for the PNG Electoral Commission, TIPNG Director, Mr. Richard Kassman, Dr. Silvu Jora, Deputy Head of Delegation to the European Union, His Eminence Sir John Cardinal Ribat, Mr. Paul Rowland, Country Manager for IFES, and Mr. Emmanuel Pock, Acting Registrar, Integrity of Political Parties and Candidates Commission. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the TI Pacific coordinator who flew in from Fiji yesterday to join us at this seminar, Losana. Thank you for making the time to also join us here in Papua New Guinea. And I take this time to acknowledge the presence of senior government representatives, our corporate members, namely Oilmin, who have joined us this morning, our colleagues from the media, PNG FM, MTV, The National, and Loop PNG. And I also acknowledge those who have registered online, including our chapter colleagues in the Pacific, who have taken the time to also join us. I think Richard has given a brief overview of TIPNG, but just as an organization and reiterating what Richard has said, we are committed to working with a sense of urgency and purpose to ensure that all Papua New Guineans are bold enough to stand up against all forms of corruption. We at TIPNG want to critically but constructively engage with all our stakeholders and encourage popular demand for good governance and accountability. As part of our post-election analysis, we're hosting this 2-day election seminar with key stakeholders and actors in elections to strengthen their capacity and design a realistic change management plan to build the integrity of the electoral process. Now, our first speaker for this morning is Mr. Richard Kassman, Director of TIPNG and a founding director of TIPNG as well. Without further ado, I would like to invite Richard to give his welcome remarks.
Thank you very much, Ariane. Your Eminence, Cardinal Sir John Reban, Your Excellency is present here today, all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking today on behalf of our chair, Mr. Peter Aitzi, who's unable to be with us today. And it's my great pleasure to, on behalf of Transparency International, to welcome all of you to our election seminar. It's wonderful to see so many stakeholders, partners, friends and supporters of TIPNG here in the room and also online. And we'll continue to support and really rely on this ongoing support. Aaron has acknowledged, and I just add once again, the contribution and support of the following people for today. As she's mentioned, Governor Alan Bird is on his way, and he's in his capacity will attend today in his capacity as chair of the Special Parliamentary Committee on the 2022 general elections. Acknowledge Electoral Commissioner Simon Sinai, sir. Thank you, and really appreciate in this busy time for you to be present here as well. Mr. Pock as well, I think, and a key important stakeholder, and we certainly acknowledge your presence and thank you for being here today, and trust that you'll be able to also take away our report and share that with your own team. Ari's acknowledged state agencies, members of civil society, and also the media. And I just want to say a special thank you to the media and acknowledge you, and as I also acknowledge all those joining us online. So we're ever so thankful for your support in joining us today for the seminar. Session 1 is the opening and welcome remarks, and then the seminar proper will continue latter part of the morning. But it's important, and it's our right to promote elections integrity, and elections integrity through transparency. I just pause to acknowledge our donors who made possible the exercise that we did in this report to create this report. So I acknowledge the people of Australia through the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, PNG Oz Partnership for supporting the election seminar today, and been with TI through the work on the elections. And the election is not just the process of voting, but during the elections and post-elections. So why is TIPNG promoting elections integrity? We as an organization are a chapter of a global transparency movement, and we work to empower people in Papua New Guinea to take action against corruption. As a membership-based association, we represent the views of the people in Papua New Guinea that value transparency and accountability through the rule of law. We have committed ourselves to this task since 1997, and this year marks our 25th anniversary. The conduct of the elections and their outcome is a core component of TI's national integrity system. The integrity of elections impacts other processes. Importantly, the formation of government, the function of state agencies, the financing of national priorities. It's poignant today, the day after government presented its 23 budget. And the peaceful transfer of power through a free, fair and safe election in accordance with the National Constitution of Papua New Guinea is therefore of utmost importance. In my view, we've we get the transfer of power right, and we're really grateful for that. Papua New Guinea has, our history has shown that transition from one parliament to the other has been run quite well, to be frank and honest. The part that we all need to work on is the free, fair and safe elections. And you'll see this ring through in our report. So how has TIPNG promoted elections integrity in 2022? So in line with our mission, where we seek to empower the people of Papua New Guinea to take action against corruption, we focus this during the elections. This has been through major activities, starting with public awareness, domestic election observations. So we're proud to say we have contributed to national reforms to strengthen the integrity of elections, such as the change in the limited preferential voting, the LPV system, and the enactment of the organic law on the integrity of political parties and candidates, OLIPAC. So I mentioned in the pre-chat that we've been very much part of this country's journey. So LPV and OLIPAC were recognized that when we formed the organization, and we worked really hard with a number of partners, collaboration of government, civil society, and our foreign partners, and the result is the enactment of both important pieces of organic law. I watch with keen interest as the Special Parliamentary Committee deliberates, and we'll see what happens. But what's important, as I mentioned earlier, is for us to be engaged in these discourse and discussions. For the 22 national general elections, TI delivered this work through our Building Elections Integrity through Partnership project. The BEIP project was focused on 4 components, which were working in partnership with the Papua New Guinea Electoral Commission, and so I acknowledge our partnership once again, national civic awareness, domestic election awareness, and then now the post-election analysis. TI worked with the PNGEC through the Information and Civic Awareness Branch to share good governance messaging, and with the provincial election managers in the 8 provinces targeted for awareness, being New Ireland, East New Britain, East Sepik, Morobe, Eastern Highlands, Jiwaka, Milne Bay and Central. COVID-19 impacted much of the physical awareness, but through partnership with NBC, Post-Korea and the National Film Institute, we were able to produce print, audio and visual products that could be shared digitally. We even hosted a podcast to disseminate elections information to a new audience. I'm just going to pause as we acknowledge you, Governor. Thank you very much.
How are you, my brother?
I'm really good, thanks, sir. And as I mentioned, in his capacity as the chair of the Select Parliamentary Committee. So let's just acknowledge him. The third component of our work for the 22 elections has been the domestic election observation. TI, for 4 consecutive national general elections, has recruited, trained and equipped volunteers from partner organizations across 20 provinces in all 4 regions of the country to be domestic election observers. In 2022, there were 340 volunteers that gave their time to observe the conduct of polling in their communities using survey documents produced by TIPNG to strengthen the integrity of the election process. So over those 4 elections, so over that 20-year period, we've developed a real strong cadre of these observers, and I'm hoping that each of them are taking their knowledge and experience into their lives and into their communities. So I acknowledge and thank each of our observers, these hard-working observers. I thank you all for your commitment and your dedication. Today's seminar is a fruit of your invaluable work and your work for the nation of Papua New Guinea. And for this, we're all grateful. So, what can reformers gain from the seminar? This seminar is TIPNG's key activity on post-election analysis, and we'll see the launch of the TI Domestic Election Observation Report this morning. We are pleased to have the PNG Electoral Commissioner and the Chairman of the Special Parliamentary Committee to receive our report, and hope that they will that this will inform their work in strengthening national integrity. The report consolidates what was observed by TIPNG during the conduct of the polling, the views of voters, and analysis of politics, administration, and governance of the elections. It will also detail key areas of action and reform. Following the launch of the report today, we will be inviting other observer groups from the ANU, NRI, and IPPCC to also share their findings, and then have a Q&A which will conclude day one. On day two, we look forward to having TI parties share their views on potential interventions to strengthen election under the thematic areas of integrity and transparency. The 22 national general elections had significant legal and administrative issues and has continued the trend of diminished trust in the integrity in this key institutional process. We at TIPNG welcome the establishment of the Special Parliamentary Committee on Elections and will support its efforts to reform and restore public confidence. The importance of public confidence just cannot be emphasized enough. We really need to work hard at restoring public confidence, because it is in my view, the lack of public confidence that fuels a lot of unrest and lawlessness, and it permeates into other areas of society. So we really need to work hard at developing, and it's all of us, our business. These reforms must uphold the constitutional standard of elections in Papua New Guinea and should protect the integrity of the Electoral Commission as a constitutional office. And that is so, so important. The Electoral Commission is not a department. The Electoral Commission is created by organic law, it's a constitutional office, and this needs to be underlined and well understood by the public and our leaders as well. And when that's well understood, both our leadership and our public will respect the office of the Commissioner. And we need to depersonalize as we view these things. It's so important. So as I draw to a close, and Irene, without your permission, I'm just going to read a paragraph on Mr. Peter Eitsley's foreword containing our report that we're going to launch. But I think it's really, really important. So as we contribute to the select committee, parliamentary committee, to the electoral commissioner, and to IDEC, the Interdepartmental Electoral Committee, it's so important that I underline a paragraph from our report. In developing electoral reforms, it is essential that they are insulated from political self-interest. This due to the pressing governance risk that those who obtain political office through corruption will use the process of legislative reform to further retain power and undermine democratic norms. We thought very hard, Governor and Commissioner, as we put these words together. But we feel convicted about these words and stand by these words. The integrity of electoral reforms, for the integrity of electoral reforms, there has to be wide engagement as possible to ensure public confidence in process. Reformers must not take the easy way out by diluting standards in the national constitution and the organic law to excuse poor electoral processes and procedures. So these are heavy words. We as an organization stand by these words. We thought, as I said, and about being, some may say, provocative, but I've decided to read them because they're poignant and they're so important, because so much relies on this process being undertaken with appropriate conviction and sense of purpose, sincerity and authenticity. So in closing, I once again thank our distinguished speakers and panelists who will be speaking later for committing themselves to the task of promoting elections integrity through transparency. I acknowledge all those who have supported the efforts of Transparency International during the course of our election activities. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I welcome you to our TI election seminar. I commend our report to you and encourage you to share this profusely amongst people, not just in our country, but in our region as well. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Richard. So in the 2022 national general elections, as Richard mentioned, TIPNG fielded 340 observers across 20 provinces, and a summary paper was released in September earlier this year, and that you should find in your packs.